What about credit cards versus debit cards? Where do you stand?
So I like to use both. I think credit cards, again, are something that have perhaps been a bit demonized. And of course, yeah, you can get into trouble using credit cards, if you're spending money that you don't have to spend, it can be a risk. I just pay my credit card off in full every month. And there are some really big positives to using credit cards. If you use it to book travel, for example, you're protected if an airline goes bust, for example. The airline and your credit card provider are both equally responsible for you getting your money back, and you don't get that same protection with a debit card. So I would say it's a must for booking travel and things like that, as long as you pay it off and avoid the interest. And one thing that is actually my New Year's resolution is to use credit cards in a more savvy way. So I don't know if you follow many American influencers or American financial influencers, but a lot of them kind of do loads of credit card hacks, and they have loads of travel hacks that they do, and they use like this card for this card for that, and they get like free hotel room stays and all these kinds of things. And I haven't really seen many people in the UK doing that. If you know anyone, do let me know. But yeah, that's my kind of resolution, is to look into that a little bit more, and see how I could be using my credit cards in the best way possible to get as many points, cash back, all these kinds of extra things. It's just a little experiment. But yeah, I like them both for different purposes.
I'll be excited to see where you go with that. And I'll share in a wee second an example I've got of one that's been quite interesting for me recently. But the first point I think you make is that your money management of the credit card effectively makes it like a slightly delayed debit card. Whereas if you are building up credit and paying interest on top of that, it's one of the single worst loans you can ever get, because you're just going to get hammered. And with I've used an Amex for years since I left university and got my graduate jobs, because I had a lot of expenses with car mileage or train tickets or hotels that I was putting on my card and claiming back from the company. And I just set up a direct debit. It comes out on the 12th of every month when my bill comes. And albeit I have to have the money in my account and know that that's going to be there, but I also just know that, it's 3 weeks down the line from when I made these purchases, or roughly that. But as long as I never ever have an outstanding balance on it, I kind of feel comfortable. When I first got that card though, Laura, I think the first year I got like between 2.5% to 3% cash back on it, and that was like hundreds of pounds at the time, because I was booking all these hotels every month and paying all my fuel, my mileages. But that went down quite quickly because it was a kind of initial offer to grab you. Although some of these American influencers that you're talking about, they'll do that initial period, rinse the offer, and then move on to the next card that has the same thing. They just switch around all the time.
Is that one of the hacks they use? Okay, I'm gonna have to look into this more.
Yeah,
it's really interesting. I think there are lots of different ways that you can kind of hack these things. Like one thing I'm trying to do at the moment with my Amex is get a companion voucher for travel through the obvious points. So fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, you'll make it happen. The one thing that some of my friends have been speaking about is a crypto.com card. Now, I have maybe about a third of my overall investments are crypto now. Just in the last kind of 18 months, it's been quite exciting. I've become comfortable enough with the risk, and I'm happy to invest in it, which I think a lot of people, they'll either never get there or they need the time to do that. It has a card where it has different tiers depending on how much crypto you stake on their app. So if you stake, I think one of my friends has staked about £300 worth of their token in an exchange, and then he's getting like a really high percentage back on purchases, and it's just like a Visa card, so he's spending it on all his other bills that he normally would, all his other purchases he normally would, but he's just getting a really good cash back, albeit you've got £300 invested in the market that is at risk and capital at risk, which is
Yeah.
something you need to be comfortable with. But equally, it's quite I think you would call it like a stable coin in crypto. So it's like it roughly sits pegged against the dollar or the pound. But that's an interesting one that people are raving about. And he has sent me some of the details. And depending how much you stake, if you have a bit more capital, if you stake £1,000 in their token, you're getting a really high percentage back on all your purchases. So that's something I need to take more of a look at. And maybe we'll pick this up offline, Laura, once we do our research.
Yeah, that sounds super interesting.